You're listening to WLPN-LP, Chicago 105.5 FM, Lumpen Radio, Bridgeport. It's December 21st, 2017. You're listening to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. Pretty good.
This is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.
Hello, and welcome to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. I'm your host, Chris Quinn, coming to you once again from the Co-Prosperity Sphere, Studio B to be precise, here in lovely Bridgeport, Chicago. Thanks as always to Lumpen Radio and its fearless leader, Logan Bay, for having us. Kind of a special occasion. We've got Mr. Logan Bay actually here. We have the fearless leader here. Yeah. Wow. You guys can clap. It's not your balls that are going to get busted. But anyway, Logan's here. And, it is what it is. I'll just say that. But I'm not really necessarily looking forward to it. Anyway, I wanted to thank everyone for tuning in live and on 105.5 FM. If you're listening via the airwaves, or if you're listening during it for a streaming service, I guess you would call it, TuneIn Radio or the Lumpen app, thank you for tuning in. If you are tuned in live, you should jump over to the chat room. I think Logan is also moderating that. He'll probably, bust your balls as well, so you can hop on over to that. It's tlk.io/WLPN. Yeah, I got it, Logan. Calm down. Anyway, I wanted to thank all you guys who are listening live. If you're not listening live, thank you as well. If you're listening via podcast, thank you for tuning in. And if you're listening for the first time, let me just give you a quick rundown of what this show is all about. Basically, the goal of the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable is to open up a window into how the people making, selling, marketing, and facilitating the beer, getting into your glass, feel about the topics that are a part of their everyday lives. Many of my personal greatest beer experiences have been talking about beer while sharing beers with people whose opinions I respect and admire, and it's this experience that I try to capture with the Insiders Roundtable. And with the quick note that everyone's opinion is their own, not affiliated with anything else. So no other entities, their opinions are not Lumpen Radio's opinions or the Beer Temple's. I have to say that, especially with considering who's in the audience. The disclaimers have to be said, or my counsel would be very upset with me, I'll just say. But with that, I would like to introduce my guests. We've got some. We've got an old. So we always introduce people in order of seniority. Seniority being how many times they've been on the show. We've got a clear front runner. In fact, we just started tabulating the number of times people have been on, and Pat, you're I think. Maybe top 3, top 4, maybe. Yeah, you're definitely top 5. I think you're top 4.
Nice,
Mr. Pat Berger.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Yeah,
top 5. Do I get a jacket or something or?
Nice. Yeah. It's outside. It's out in the alley. Just go put it on. It'll fit.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
How are you?
Typical. I'm great. Yeah. Can't complain. Happy holidays to all, and it's
all a good night.
Yeah, deep into drinking season. So all is well.
Mm-hmm. Do you do anything special for for Christmas, or is it
Well,
just
I
being
have
a
children.
publican as
It's
long?
all about children. It's all about your children at Christmas, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're closed for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, so it's nice.
Oh, good for you.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Both of them, Patty's and Kaiser.
Yes, both. Yeah.
I was at Patty's one year on Christmas Eve.
For sure. Patty's used to be open 365 because I was scared to close.
Okay.
You know, I was like, how are we going to pay the bills if I close?
Right.
So, yes, we're in a good spot now, and we take those days off.
But you're not. So you're Christmas Eve and Christmas. What
Christmas
about New
Eve
Year-
and Christmas.
What about New Year's Day?
Oh, of course you're open New Year's Day. That's a big,
Oh, is it?
that's a big day. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of bitters and soda.
Told you.
Yeah, brunch.
Told you, Mr. Freshnock.
Brunch, my
Noted.
friend, brunch.
Yeah. Oh, we don't serve food. But, anyway, good to have you on.
Great to be here. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, man. My next guest is Mr. Ashley Brandt, Esquire.
Wait, is that Steve hasn't been on the show as many times as I've been on the show?
He has not.
Whoa.
Sorry.
They
I
don't let me
think
leave.
so.
No.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Pat's been on more times than everybody else here
Well,
combined.
I saw his parking spot outside, so
Yeah.
I get it.
You get a reserved spot
Yeah.
after 15 appearances.
That's nice.
So.
Gold plaque.
And a jacket.
Yeah, a jacket, but the
In
jacket's
in the alley.
yeah, it's in the alley. That's where we the maitre d.
That's where the dressing room is here. That's the green room.
the concierge is there. So
Fur lined. It's a shearskin
yeah, you
Wyoming
saw it.
original.
Yeah, you saw it.
Seersucker.
Oh,
That one.
nice.
It's both. It's actually both.
So seersucker.
It's a shearling.
Shearling
It's a shearling
seersucker.
seersucker.
Shark skin seersucker.
Yeah, it's all of that. It's really.
Can't wait to see it.
It's kind of like multicolor, what the Technicolor dream coat of a thing, all animal based. So it's a shark skin, shearling, ostrich skin,
Yeah, I think-
alligator, everything.
Chinchilla.
Chinchilla. As long as it was once living and was killed in order to make a coat, you'll find it on your jacket. So
Well, you know, I
just
do.
it's right out there in the alley. All you got to do is swing over and pick it up, man.
Can't wait.
You've earned it. You've earned
Thank
it.
you. You know, I have.
Yeah, but
I
anyway,
agree.
it's not about you right
I
now.
know.
It's
Move
about,
on. Move on.
It's about Mr. Ashley Brandt,
Woo.
Esquire.
Happy to be here.
How are you, dude?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What's new with you, dude?
Life is wonderful. The end of the year rush. Everybody has something they want to get done. So
Someone they
this
want to
is-
sue.
This is good time.
But I cannot end this year unless I get this SOB, Ashley.
There we
You got to
go.
help me.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Call.
So you're not doing cold calls like to try to make ends meet, hit those year-end targets. Like, you sure there's no one you want to sue, man?
I was
Hey, what's up? How you doing? How are the kids? Anyway, anyone you want to sue?
going to get
Remember you were
myself
angry at that
a
guy?
billboard.
Yeah,
Put that up somewhere.
that'd be great. What would it say? I wonder.
Drink up.
Drink up. Yeah, I like it. Drink up. Well, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Moving right along, we have Mr. Stephen Freshnock of the Beer Temple. I would say of Beer Breakdown, but I don't think that's really a thing anymore, is it? Or is it-
It is a thing. We're actually
Oh.
planning on coming back next year. Now that Josh's work obligations are a little bit less taxing and mine kind of are, we're going to start recording again.
Nice. How are you?
Good.
Stephen works with me at the Beer Temple.
We just had a great dinner at Kimsky and Maria's. It was awesome.
Yes. Yeah, we were also at IIT, maybe scouting locations for the Illinois Craft Beer Awards, potentially.
Tried some awesome homebrew, too.
Yeah. So they had
Maybe.
this big music conference, music teachers conference, music educators.
In
But-
my mind, my band director was brewing homebrew, and that's what I was drinking.
But yeah, I guess enough of them homebrewed that they did like a little homebrew thing as well. And there were hundreds of people there. And they had a whole, like a
Easily like 8 or 10 different samples you could take.
easily 8 or 10 different homebrews that they were trying. Now, you know, there was people were trying it. There was also a regular bar that had a much longer line, but I thought it was kind of cool.
Agreed.
Yes. And
So you crashed the Music Educators Conference.
Yeah.
well, I was with. It was in. Here's the deal. It was in Bridgeport, and I was with Edmar. So I mean, doesn't he have like the key
Right,
to every
or
building
anything that's
in the
verboten.
neighborhood?
He's
The
mayor
door
of
guys just
Bridgeport,
like
right?
let us
Yeah.
walk right in. They just like, oh yeah.
Yeah, literally, they asked us, "Are you here?" And I said, I just pointed at Ed. I don't even think words got out of my mouth. I just pointed at Ed, and they're like, "Okay, come go with Ed." And then Ed, there's all these educated. Ed was dropping F-bombs all over the place, and it was pretty funny. I pulled up next to Ed outside of this place, and we'll get to beer soon, I promise. We have one more guest to introduce as well. But I pulled up next to Ed just to let him know I was there, and it was huge signs that said, do not park, tow zone, literally a foot from the front of my car. And I was like, all right, haha, it's a joke. I pulled up next to you. Now I'm going to back up. And he's like, no, park here. Which is kind of how he rolls. He was in an equally illegal spot. There were plenty of okay spots, but I guess Ed prefers to park directly in front of the no parking tow zone.
Those
And
no
then
parking signs aren't there for Ed.
Right.
They're
and
for
then
the
just,
rest of us.
And then just roll into a private event and start drinking beer. But that's how Ed does it. And they all thanked him, and they were all very happy that Ed was there. So that's just kind of how Ed rolls. And it's fun just to kind of, be a hanger-on for a little bit. Anyway, Ed's not on the show, so we'll stop talking about
Is he the
Ed.
number one guest?
Isn't he always here in spirit?
Now this was only scheduled or pseudo-scheduled, or he crashed it enough to actually have made the list of guests.
Okay.
And he has a double-digit lead over the next closest person, who is Mike Shalau, who's actually hosted the show twice. But yeah, I mean, he literally lives upstairs, so it doesn't take much for him to just come. I mean, I'm sure he'll crash this show as well.
His ears are burning right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't believe he's not down already.
Yeah. But anyway, we have another guest. It's the second time for this particular guest, Mr. John Hall. How are you?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Doing well. Sounding good.
All right.
So John basically sent me his curriculum vitae about how to introduce him. So I'm just going to let him say whatever he wants to say. So John, tell everyone who you are, and then we'll get into the shade that I heard through the grapevine you were throwing at me, and how you were going to come on here and kind of, say some stuff. So I'm waiting for that too. I haven't listened to it because there's no other beer shows worth listening to. But other than that, I'm kidding.
Wow.
That's not
All
true.
right.
That was
we
actually
go.
not true. You're on a very good podcast that I do listen to. Not in the way that Pat Berger listens to my show, in that he listens and doesn't. But anyway, what's up, John?
I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy who drinks beer and occasionally writes words about it. So,
Cool.
and I sometimes, I guess, I show up on a third place award-winning podcast, which is a full 2 places behind this prestigious broadcast. So I appreciate you letting riffraff like me walk through the door, or sit in my kitchen and talk to you on my laptop, as it were.
Yeah. I mean, as it were. I have to.
What's the shade?
No, I don't know. I think somebody said that you had mentioned it, and there was something that you were going to be sure to bring up on this show. But I didn't listen closely enough to what they said to know.
Your award-winning podcast?
Yeah,
I assume that just
they said that they were jokingly saying that they were talking trash, and I was like, oh, okay, that'll be funny when John comes on. But
If it was the Steal This Beer podcast that this anonymous person and this anonymous stir of feces was talking about, it was probably Augie Carton, my co-host, who was saying stuff, because that's typically his MO, and then I just kind of sit back and let the lawyers call him.
Right. Well, we're lawyered up. That's why. Why do you think Ashley is on this show? Why do you think he's on this episode?
Fantastic. That's great. Let me call my counsel. I'm going to put you guys on mute.
Yeah.
And then I'll come right back on.
I was going to mention. So last time you were on.
Yeah.
I mean, now when you guys came in third, and you're like, oh, that's awesome. I don't know if they were announced third, second,
Shameful
first,
bronze.
and
Yeah.
then we were announced. You're like, that was the show where the guy came on and was talking about his Blimp's Dirigible City and the Beer Borg and all this craziness. That's the show that came in first. Because I remember King Kona made an appearance, and I think maybe some sort of like hovercraft touchdown in the middle of the street, if I remember correctly, or something like that. And Queen Kona was on as well. It got a little weird. And afterwards, you were just like, what just happened? And then the show just kind of went on. I thought about you briefly today when I was thinking about you coming on the show, being like, yeah, he was on that show when King Kona and Queen Kona dropped in. And
that was a weird, yeah.
Things
Yeah,
get
that's
weird
all I can
sometimes
say
in
about
Bridgeport,
that.
man.
Yeah, that stuff doesn't happen in Jersey City, where we record the third place award-winning Steal This Beer podcast.
Right. So, but the bar, I mean, the bar can't be set that high. If that sort of thing, I don't know. I'm just saying, if you tried, you could probably come in first. I don't think it would be too exceptionally hard.
No, we're just going to bribe the judges as hard as you guys did. That's all.
That's right.
We're saving up our pennies, and
That's right. What I recommend is having the president of the guild as a regular guest on your show.
Yeah, I heard you had Brian Roth on last week, so
That's what I recommend. It worked for me anyway.
That's good. Yeah, he was telling me all about it when I took him out to a really nice steak dinner and got him some really nice bottles of wine.
No.
And,
the
podcast put him up. We put him up at a really nice hotel with a massage in the morning and everything like that. He told me all about being on your show the night before. It was sweet.
No, he's not that kind of guy. He wants to go to take him to a massage parlor. And then, strip club, give him a stack of ones, and
sure,
bingo. That's the kind of guy Brian Roth is.
Okay, so see, I'm
not into that. Pat's looking at me. I'm not into that, Pat.
What kind of massage parlor? Like, are you talking about like a rub and tug?
Yeah, like a washy-washy.
Logan just gave me the I can't. Wait. Those aren't bad words.
Logan just gave you a what?
He gave me a look.
Oh, look.
Not even. He wouldn't look at me, but he gave a look.
I can feel Brian Roth blushing through the computer screen right now as all of this is happening. He is the nicest guy. For the record, he cannot be bought. He has brought a lot of great integrity to the North American Guild of Beer Writers since he's been named executive director, and I'm sure that people can understand that we're all saying this in fun. But
no, I'm kidding. He's a great guy.
He's done some really cool stuff with the guild, and if people listen and they are writers, I'm sure he talked about this last week. But you should sign up for the guild and hear what they're doing and all of that. So, and take them to a rub and tug. So,
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Logan just gave you a look too.
Yeah,
through the computer screen.
Anyway, let's get away from rub and tugs, shall we? What's new with you, John?
You said it last.
Run a first place podcast. This is great.
What's new with you, John? What are you up to?
So I'm working for Craft Beer and Brewing magazine these days. I'm the senior editor over there. So I'm writing about cool breweries and brewing ingredients in the home brewing world, and I'm traveling around a little bit. I just finished a manuscript for a new book that comes out in September. But the most important thing is I have a 9-month-old daughter, and it is awesome. Coolest thing that has ever happened in my life, and every day is a new adventure, and it's cool watching her grow and discover new beers and develop her own unique tastes, and it's really flattering. And I wish she wasn't as into the hazy IPAs, but it's kids these days. So
it's true. Do you totally take advantage of her with trades and just totally rip her off? Like, you idiot! Totally. Because you gotta do it while you can. But that's awesome. Yes. That is that's wonderful. Your first kid?
My first kid.
Cool.
My only kid, as far as I know.
Well, yeah. I mean, you'd have to get on it if you had a second kid. Yes. If she was your first. Let's get right to it with beers that we've had that have been interesting or exciting to us, or beers maybe that we are excited to try. Mr. Berger, anything?
I've been drinking a lot of a beer I made with 4 hands called Tiger Tears.
It wouldn't be a Pat Burger show if he wasn't.
if I wasn't collaborating with a brewery.
If,
Yes.
if the beer he was drinking wasn't his own collaboration.
Yes.
And always a different collaboration.
It's not a call to action, but
No,
it's
it's not.
tasty beer that I like to drink. And,
Yeah.
Logan's giving me another look. It's got the opportunity to go down to Four Hands in St. Louis, and really nice guys made a beer, a Pilsner, of course, dry hop Pilsner.
Yep.
And got to take my one of my beer buyers, Callie Roach, down with her husband Tony, who runs the best bar in Chicago, the Matchbox. And we had a great couple of days down in my hometown of St. Louis. Made a beer, and now it's up here, and I've been drinking a ton of it, mostly because I bought a ton of it. No, it's really good.
What's it called again?
It's called Tiger Tears.
Tiger Tears.
Yes, no tears were shed making it, but
Okay.
many tears were shed making Kaiser Tiger.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's cool.
yeah,
Tiger Tears. How about you, Fresh? Anything you've had that you've been digging?
Yeah, I think the things I've most been excited about is what's been on our draft board at work. I've been drinking lots of
No calls to action.
very fresh pilsners, which have been awesome. The beer that I'm most excited about, I had a speciation beer last week that was a Pilsner and Grisette hybrid. It was probably the most complex, simple, and delightful beer I've had in a minute. That was cool. And yeah.
Speciation up in Michigan, right?
Yes. And then I brought a beer today.
Oh, yeah.
We kind of got a big drop of Shelton Brothers product, fresh Shelton Brothers product, and Des Moines is finally canning beers.
I know.
And it's super cool. I mean, these are beers that like sit on our shelves usually for quite a long time. It's kind of cool to see a fresh Des Moines beer, so I'm super excited to drink this.
And I love that they kept the branding aesthetic.
Yeah, it's the same label.
It's literally the same label that they just slapped onto a can. So there you are.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? That's great. Ashley, have you had any beer lately that you've been interested in or that you've been enjoying?
I finally cracked from my cellar the scratch stuff that I had been.
Oh, cool.
I probably shouldn't have cellared, but
It's okay.
The wild mushroom one.
Oh yeah,
That was
black,
spectacular.
the Chanterelle or
yeah,
the black.
and it
Trumpeter? Okay.
aged well, so that was. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
Fun beers.
Opened a few of the 2015 Goose Islands to see if I had been.
Oh,
If I had lost my shirt or not. They
Right.
were surprisingly,
good.
very
good.
clean.
Nice.
Very cool.
Mirrorball, Hot Butcher's latest.
Yeah, that
well.
just came out.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah,
Whole bunch of stuff. You've been
good
drinking a
stuff.
lot.
I have.
Well,
I have.
It goes along with your billboard.
There you go.
Drink
up.
tis
Yeah.
the season.
Yeah. So you don't hit any bars up on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day? I
Me?
assume? Yeah.
No, it's all
You
about
got
the kids,
kids.
dude.
Yeah.
no.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I got
That's
3
it.
kids.
Raid the cellar and,
Yeah.
I
and
take
hunker down.
My daughter is going to go to Butch McGuire's again this year. She's 4, and she will have gone every year of her life and in the womb to Butch McGuire's on Christmas Day, at least for a little bit, which I think is a
That's
fun
nice. I think
tradition. That's kind of like a That's a fun. We don't have any family. No one likes us, so we have to go. And
Wait, is it a time of the day when like division in state is acceptable for
on,
children?
On Christmas Day,
Oh,
Butch
yeah.
McGuire's is like
Taking your toddler
Magic.
daughter down to the Viagra
Right.
Triangle.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
That's a great tradition, Chris.
It is. It's great.
Father of the Year.
They love us there. No, it's awesome.
It is.
That place transforms.
They
on
do
that day.
they do the great decorations.
Yeah, and on that day, it's definitely families and people without families that are all kind of getting together. It's very familial, very fun, very family-oriented place. So it's kind of cool.
Cool.
How about you, John?
I've definitely settled into the winter time of year and getting into a lot of porters and stouts, and thankfully the brewers have really been stepping up, and it's not necessarily some of these pastry stouts, which have been pretty interesting to taste, but a little bit more of the traditional. So right now I'm drinking Night Swim, which is a porter from Coppertail down in Tampa. And Summit Brewing Company actually came out with a Russian Imperial earlier this year, one of their limited edition small batch type of stuff, and it was just thick and viscous and chocolatey and boozy and hints of chocolate and roasted black. I mean, just what a fun beer to be drinking. And if I'm not drinking that, I'm definitely drinking lagers. So I want to get out to Chicago and taste what Pat's been making.
Yeah. So were these sent to you as samples, or are both these breweries in the New Jersey market, or?
These came to the house for sample purposes. And so I've been tasting them as such and taking the appropriate notes on them. But there's certainly some stouts and porters that I can get locally, which I've been.
No. I was
stocking up on as well.
just curious if
Yeah.
Summit has pulled out of Chicago, and
gosh, really?
and Coppertail I'd never even heard of. I was just curious if these guys were, skipping over the Midwest, and I was just purely curious.
Yeah, no. Summit sends stuff out for consideration, and they've made some fun beers in the last
Totally. I like
in
those
the last
guys.
couple of years. There's been some misses as well, but some fun beers. And Coppertail, Casey Hughes, their brewer, used to work for a brewery here in New Jersey called Flying Fish, and this is his new brewery. So I've stayed in contact with him, and just always kind of jazzed to see what he's coming out with next. And it's usually a good bottle to open.
Cool. Well, Logan, should we take a quick little break to talk about some of the other shows that are here on Lumpen Radio? Why don't we give you guys 60, 90 seconds or so, hear about some of the other programming on this fine station, and then we'll be back with more of the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. Welcome back to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. I'm your host, Chris Quinn, and I am joined by my guests, John Hall, Pat Berger, Steve Freshnock, and Ashley Brandt. And so, big news in beer. It's been, kind of in the news in general a little bit, is this, tax bill that's been going on. So I figured,
Just a little.
well, let's talk about it. Let's get political. That's always a good thing to do when you're drinking.
What could go wrong?
Yeah.
Right? So, no, there has been a lot of people who've been talking pretty vocally about, this tax break for brewers. I guess there's been some people who've been championing it, and others who have been talking about, some of the downsides potentially to the tax break. And, one of our super listeners and sometime guest, Jack O'Connor, wrote a letter. So this also doubles as the letter segment of the show. And he was talking about it and mainly about, some of the stuff that the Washington Post wrote, which was, they basically correlated, this tax break to how many more people are going to die as a result, which was, pretty intense and interesting to read. I think here's their article was, here's how many people would die as a result of the Senate's tax cut on booze. And, they kind of put it out there. And what Jack was asking was what thought people had on the panel about the proposed tax plan as it affects breweries. And also, too, alcohol abuse and overconsumption are topics rarely covered on the show. How do the panelists approach these issues? Does anyone intend to reduce their pricing if they're given a tax break, or potentially raise prices if it's proven that alcohol abuse is price sensitive? So that's what he said. So, a nice light topic to start. What do you think? You're smiling, Mr. Brand.
Oh, I'm not smiling about alcoholic death.
Oh, my bad. I was misinterpreting that smile.
Absolutely. I would never smile in the face of...
Yeah, you're
Such
smiling.
travesty.
You're saying it, and you're grinning ear to ear as those words are coming out of your mouth.
I am not.
Wow, what a good attorney, because he's
I know,
literally
his
is.
Line his face off.
syntax. If
That's a word.
if
Yep.
the Post article weren't correct, then I suppose Sunstein et al. would be proven wrong that nudges don't help in social reform.
I don't follow you.
Look, these arguments have been around for a very long time. They're points to be brought up whenever something's sensationalist, but I don't know that dragging out the notion of alcoholic deaths it does anything other than create a sensational headline for the Washington Post here. It's not as if this is a fight that people aren't aware of. I see craft brewers across the country taking responsible drinking seriously, getting involved in local movements, joining Mothers Against Drunk Driving at different events. I mean, it's not as if the industry doesn't care and that you can't have two things that go hand in hand, drinking and responsibility.
Okay, anyone else? Anyone else want to go pro irresponsibility?
I mean, I know I'm normally the contrarian here.
Yeah, that's why
But no, I don't think I'm ready to jump on the
You're not ready to touch that with
on
a
the
10-foot pole.
pro-death thing. No. Look, I'll be honest with you. I tried to click on that link you sent me, but I've already used up my Washington Post 10 free articles for the month, so I couldn't read it. I did read the other one, and I'm familiar with what's going on here, but it doesn't sound like I'm not sure how they correlated that to death, because are they saying that the breweries are going to pass on that?
They're saying
savings
when alcohol
and it's
taxes
gonna be
go
cheaper?
up, mortality rates.
They draw
Go
some
down.
correlation between drinking and death, be it cirrhosis, be it drunk driving.
Right,
be it,
but they're saying that the
spousal.
cheaper we make alcohol, then the more likelihood that people are going to drink themselves to death. Is that the gist
Well, I
of it?
guess it's kind of the idea. Same with cigarettes, right? You just tax them out of existence. I think is kind of the idea.
Yeah.
So they're saying if you doubled the alcohol tax, you'd reduce alcohol-related.
These aren't the sin taxes to the direct consumer that get brought up by local municipalities and states. These are the federal taxes to the manufacturers.
Right,
So whether or not those
right.
prices are passed on,
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to see like a $3.50 decrease in every barrel of beer I buy, and therefore I'm not going to be able to pass that on to my customers, right? I mean, no one's talking about lowering their prices over this tax decrease, right?
It doesn't sound.
I haven't heard anyone say that. I don't, I think
It sounds
people
more like they might be able to.
to
invest
reinvest
a
into
little
their
more.
business,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And as this tax bill stands, I stand to pay a lot less in taxes. I own a couple corporations and make my money through corporate profits that are apparently going way down in taxation. The gist of it for me personally is I wasn't looking for this tax relief, and I have no real control outside of my vote of whether or not I get it. It was, if you want to get political, this was all a thank you to the big business donors, that put these people into office, and it's probably, and then, this isn't a political talk show, so whether or not, anyone believes in trickle down or whether this is going to spur the economy, which is already doing pretty well, is a question. But yes, I will. Unlike Trump, I'm more than happy to admit that I will benefit from this tax plan. I will, yes.
Right.
Will I reinvest that money into my company? I don't know. I have no idea. Probably some not. It's not. I don't even know what those savings are going to look like yet.
So what about going back to, and this is open to anybody, about some of this, what do they call it? Negative externalities. So basically, they're saying the true benefit of the federal alcohol tax is that it helps offset the social costs of drinking. And in the case of booze, they're saying alcohol-related deaths, but also domestic violence, other crimes, lost productivity due to intoxication, and so on and so forth. I mean, that's interesting. Like, is that money? Well, whatever. I mean, we're all very biased, but I'd like to hear. Anything you have to say, John?
Well, as somebody who writes about and drinks beer for a living, I can talk about lost productivity quite accurately and quite well. I think Pat hit on some good points there, especially that we don't know what companies are going to do with this. And I would be very surprised if we did see a reduction as consumers, and I can speak for the consumer side, I'd be very surprised if we would see reductions in the prices of our beers. I don't pretend to be a tax expert by any measure of things, so I was looking at Beer Marketers Insights, which is a newsletter that goes out for subscribers, and they sort of put it out there. They put out the numbers as to what brewers actually stand to save. And so if you're a brewer that's making 2,000 barrels a year, you're probably going to save about $7,000 a year, which is a nice chunk of change, but I don't know if that necessarily changes the world for some folks. You might be able to buy some more kegs. You might be able to buy some more stainless, maybe a couple tap handles, or, some new things that are out there. If you're making, 50 million barrels of beer a year, or 100 million barrels of beer a year, if you're one of those guys, you're going to save $12 million. And so maybe they'll reinvest and they'll double down, and we know who those guys are and what they do. If you're in that 2 million range, you're going to save about $4+ million a year. And so maybe we'll see some stuff from some of those guys, the Yuenglings, the Sam Adams, the folks in that general range. But I think for a lot of the smaller brewers, which is really driving the growth right now, they'll see some money back, but not a ton. And certainly, I believe in the mission of the Washington Post, like I do all real journalism, but that struck me as sort of a sensational headline, a sensational story. Craft brewers have been socially conscious, I think, with a lot of these things, and I think that talking about addiction and talking about overconsumption are things that we have to have open and honest conversations about, and those are difficult conversations to have, but ones that do happen regularly, and that can happen more. And if the tax bill can shed some light on that, great. Let's have the conversation and let's address it. But I don't think this tax bill is going to cause a complete breakdown of society. I think we're well on our way without that anyway. So
true. It is. Yeah. It's funny how how it went there so quickly in that Washington Post article. I thought it was funny. Obviously, alcohol abuse is something that's serious, and it is something. I mean, I'd like to. I mean, how do you approach that, Pat? It is something that I know when I was opening up a beer store, 5 years ago, that I consciously made some decisions as a result of, not my thoughts about, alcohol abuse, and I have alcohol abuse in my family, and it's something very personal to me. And, you are dealing with something that is a vice, that is addicting. And I don't know, how do you square that? Or is it, yeah.
I guess I have a strong belief in personal responsibility, and personal freedom. And, I also try to, I get people messed up for a living, right? That's what I do. I mean, there's no getting around it. And I like doing it, and I think I'm pretty good at it. And, we try to tackle it in a responsible manner, and train our staff on overconsumption and all that kind of stuff. But very easily someone could leave my establishment and do something terrible that
like
can
listen
be
to your
blamed.
podcast.
like
listen to Beer
like
Opinions.
listen to a podcast. So I have this belief that people are responsible for themselves, and it's to place the blame on other people lessens what these people have done. So I guess that's how I square it. It doesn't keep me up at night. I can tell you that. I don't have any issues with it, and I do strongly believe in people's right to relax with an alcoholic beverage and many other substances. I have no problem with any of that, and I think it serves a purpose in life that, you know, can be good, can be bad. You know, it's just like pretty much everything in the world.
Has it been you, Stephen, who has, you know, recently been working a lot in a bar? Is that ever something that kind of
Actually, I think about it quite often. I think about my own consumption. I think about the consumption of my friends and family. It's something that I think that I monitor in myself. And then I'm with Pat. I don't make the decisions of other people. I'm not you. I can't decide. What I can decide is when I think you've had too much and your behavior is affecting the people around you. So if you have overindulged and I think you're going to impact the night of other people, that's where you've crossed the line, in my opinion. So that's where I draw it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Chris, when you asked me to come talk to your staff before you opened, I don't know if you guys, you know, thought I was going to go in there and talk about beer, but, you know, what did I end up talking about? Managing drunk people.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what we do. That's what we do for a living, and you can do it well or you can do it irresponsibly, you know. And there's a heft to it and a weight and a responsibility, and you know, you have to acknowledge that that's what you're doing. You know, it's a white elephant in the room that I have no problem confronting. You know, and saying, hey, this is what we do for a living, and we have to make sure that it's as safe as possible.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the way it is thought of as like a white elephant in a room, because, you know, in television or in commercials and stuff like that, it's always a big party. And, you know, and then you read stuff like this in the Washington Post where they're talking about, you know, how we need to essentially make it unaffordable for people to drink enough to get drunk. And that's kind of the solution to the problem.
And that's a fantasy, though, because there's always going to be a cheap option.
Oh, yeah. I mean, people are going to get messed up. They'll just buy a handle and go swig it in the alley next to Pat's brand new coat and maybe soil it. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Better not.
That stuff
high
doesn't
grade
come out
shark
of
skin.
chinchilla.
Yeah. Or
Well, you know,
chinchilla.
everyone's saying alcohol is going to be gone, right? That's the new thing. 50 years, it won't be
Oh,
alcohol. It's all
smoking?
synthetic alcohol.
Oh,
That's,
interesting.
Oh, I haven't heard
Powdered
that.
alcohol.
Oh, well.
Do tell, Pat.
Well, I didn't do the homework on that either, but you can Google it.
That was also you'd also expired that number of you know,
Yes.
BuzzFeed's.
I do think alcohol is on the decline. You know, kids these days, again, they look at it and go, "Why? Why would I, you know, choose something that gives me this terrible hangover, or isn't really great for me, makes me gain weight, blah blah blah." You know, they have alternatives now that I think the kids are going to be more into as far as.
You talking about pot?
Well, that's certainly a big one, right? I mean, but there's a lot more things out there than pot. You know, pot's becoming mainstream, and it's certainly a much safer alternative, in my opinion, to alcohol in every way, shape, and form.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, I think they're different. You know, I don't know. You think that
I think
is
I think bar culture too is dying.
yeah, bar culture.
I mean, we've talked about that, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we're going to talk about a little bit
on
more.
someone's podcast.
Yeah.
Might have been mine, but bar culture is dying. This isn't interesting to kids to sit around at a bar and drink. You know, they want to be entertained. They want an experience, and going down to the local pub and having a few beers at the bar, which, quite frankly, is the greatest thing in the world to me. You know,
Curling.
it's what I
curling
live
rink is what you
for.
need.
Yeah, now you got to do things like put a freaking curling rink in your backyard to get these kids to come down. You know, you got to give them an experience. You have to, you know, they want to do something. They want more than what we have. You know,
But so you think that they're going to be a bunch of straight edge guys just looking to you know, get high on life and their experiences?
I think they already are.
For real?
For real.
You really think that? Does anyone else here think that? I don't.
I think the statistics show it. Kids drink less than we did when we were their age. I think it's a fact.
Are they drinking harder stuff though?
I don't think
trying
so.
different substances.
Yeah, I mean, they're still getting messed
yeah.
up. I mean, they're not. That could also be a short-term trend. I mean, look at the history
be,
of. I mean, it's almost like
Oh, come on! I
So
just
many
got an
different
SBA
animals.
loan.
Right? Exactly. I mean, come on, don't
Sorry.
tell me this.
Oh no!
Oh, believe
I'm
me.
such a buzzkill, aren't I?
No. I mean, we're going to seriously put that whole thing through the buzzsaw in a little bit. But I mean, you really think that alcohol, not bar culture, but alcohol is dying? Like it's going to be done for. In 50
I mean, I don't
years,
want
let's
to.
say.
Well, that's what the article said. No, I don't think that. I don't think it's ever going to die. But will it become more of a fringe thing? Yes. I
Could be
mean,
like absinthe.
it's
drinkers are
already
now.
much more of a fringe thing than it was when I was 21.
Are you
know?
kidding me?
I think so. Yes,
Beer
absolutely.
or alcohol is a fringe thing.
No, it's not a fringe
No.
thing. But it's not as commonplace. Like, I mean, how old were you the first time you got messed up on alcohol? Because I was probably 12,
Yeah, 12,
maybe 11. I have a 15-year-old who's never been messed up on alcohol, and it wouldn't be normal for him in his peer group to get messed up on alcohol. It's, he's got about another 6 months before it's probably normal. But, I was well on my way by his age. These are my observations. I don't, and statistically speaking, I believe in the teenage bracket, drinking is down. That's what I've heard. I could be wrong.
No,
I often am.
You could be right. You could be wrong. I'm
And that's where you make
surprised.
that's where you develop these habits, right? That's where you develop your what you think is a good time.
I don't know. I think there's something to be said about the fact there's been a lot of drugs around for a lot of time, and alcohol seems to have been popular for essentially
it's-
ever.
Its legality has a lot to do with it, right? Now that pot is becoming legal, could it overtake alcohol? It could.
It could. I mean, I don't think it will. I mean, in cultures where it's been legal, I think alcohol is still doing just fine. But
So-
yeah, what's up, John?
Well, here's my question, right? Because I don't want to agree with Pat because I don't. But do you think if it is down, it has anything to do with choice? Because when you think about drinking back in the day and you'd go out to the bar for beers, you had a very few options, as it were. And same thing with whiskey and same thing with wine. It was white or red, or you're going to drink bourbon, or you're going to drink gin, or you're going to drink vodka, whatever. And now with so much choice out there, being able to jump around to different beers, being able to really spend your night and never drink the same thing twice, or spend an entire year and never drink the same thing twice. Do you think that has anything to do with it?
I think maybe, personally, my guess is ready for this is an official hot take you're about to hear.
Man.
Yeah, here you go. This is a real one here. My guess is that people just aren't going out more. They're, instead of being in a darts league or a bowling league, I turn on my Xbox One, me personally, and I play with my friend in Boston and another friend in Philly, and we get on and we kind of like chat through our headsets and we kind of play, and my kids are sleeping, we duplex downstairs, and that's what we do. But in 15 years ago, I would have been at a bar, throwing darts or something, and just hanging out with the people who were local there. Yeah. And I think that is why
I think that has.
drinking is
I
down.
think there's a lot of factors, right? And there's also the fact that you don't have to check in at your local pub to see what your friends are up to. You can just look on your phone, and I think that has a lot to do with it.
Right.
You're always connected with your circle via your phone, whereas, I would have to check in at the bar, see what everyone's up to. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
It's human nature to know what your pals are up to.
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, even when I was here, just kind of like very much into the beer scene in Chicago, not part of the industry, there were people that I would know just from the beer scene, and I wouldn't. It was funny. We were almost like locals, but we were locals to like certain bars when they were having certain events, and we would all just show up and all be there. We didn't have each other's phone numbers necessarily.
Right.
We certainly weren't like IMing each other or texting each other, or whatever. And but that was our social circle.
Right.
And I mean that's now you would always kind of. I mean, these same people, literally these same people. I now text before going anywhere. So
Yeah,
it's
and
kinda
you're
funny.
just much more likely to have a few more beers at a bar with your friends than you are at home on your Xbox, I think. I mean, I am. I don't know.
Yep.
I don't have an Xbox.
Yep. So I mean, that's you're a PS4 guy.
I don't play video games.
Oh,
That's
oh.
a waste of time, Chris. Come on. That's like the
Read a
ultimate waste of
Yeah,
time.
all the waste of time. I could be drinking alcohol
At a bar.
At a bar.
At a bar.
Which is the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just gonna bake
Says
it in
the
one
bar
hand.
owner. I love
Right.
it. Yeah.
I mean, hey, I
Do
like
what you love,
drinking
John.
I
Do
like
what you
drinking at bars, but video games or games in general are fun. I would much rather, honestly, play an actual game. I'd much rather go.
Settlers
curling
of Catan.
is
You want to go
ridiculous.
curling?
I like throw it down.
Well, I like pub games. I like even if it's bubble hockey or pool or darts or foosball, all that stuff. Love it. I'll play it all the time. But all I can get is
Yet none of these are in the beer temple.
We have
darts. We
You
have
have
darts.
darts. Oh, all right.
And I will throw darts several times a week, I'd say. So by myself, because no one's there to play. So I just play by myself.
Oh, that's the
Yeah.
saddest little picture
No, what I
I've
do
ever
is
painted.
I wet the tip of the dart with my tear, and it helps. It helps guide it a little bit better.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah,
I
Merry
know,
Christmas.
yeah.
We're out. We're gonna end early.
I think I know why we don't talk about alcohol abuse on this show very often. It's a total
Yeah,
buzz.
this is
a
kill.
bummer.
Yeah, this is
Buzzkill.
nothing. This is
One
worst
time in 120
episode
shows
ever.
Yeah, one time in 120 shows. That's fine. Let's all get trashed.
Yeah.
So, do we have time to talk about the Fed? Do we have to take a? Can we take an early break? Well, let's reset. From the buzzkill.
Thank God. Yeah.
Yeah.
The buzzkill, and then we're going to talk about something really cool, which is federal inspectors coming and talking to Mr. Pat Berger.
Yeah, it's not that cool.
Yeah, no, but we'll talk about that and maybe some other stuff too. Man, we do have some downer topics, so I'm gonna have to change this up a little
Seriously.
bit during the break. Okay, either way, we'll be back in about 10 minutes with more of the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. Welcome back to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. I'm your host, Chris Quinn. I'm joined by Stephen Freshnock, Ashley Brandt, Buzzkill Burger, and John Hall.
No one wants to drink. Everyone
It's
wants
all
to stay
done.
home.
Kids these days, you should have heard about all the things that during the break that kids these days are into or aren't into, really. So,
It's all about figuring out what they are into.
yeah, which is experiences.
Yeah, it's not the kids' fault. It's
No, it's not the kids'
we
fault.
have to find out what they want.
Yes.
Bungee jumping.
And find ways to make that
Bungee
happen.
jumping's a good one.
Happen
I can-
in your bar.
You should do that.
Yes.
Walking across hot stones. Fire walking.
Do kids want that?
Would that be
Oh
dangerous?
yeah, they
I'm
definitely
sure.
want that.
Everybody who's drunk thinks
Set
they
it up
can try
tomorrow.
That seems like the perfect bar
All right.
experience.
Yeah. The fire walking bar.
All you
Hasn't
need
been
is
done
a
yet.
good
Glass
insurance
eating. Up.
This is yours.
Can't do that. Oh man, we're really
Beer by the board.
yeah. Beer over the board. Not supposed to happen. Anyway, welcome back, everyone. We were having quite the
Logan.
buzzkill. So
Poor Logan.
let's talk about. So we were supposed to talk about this last time you were on, Pat. I totally forgot. And so you called me a couple weeks ago, right? And
I
you were,
did.
You were a little concerned at the time right?
I'm still a little PO'd about it, because
Yeah, but at the time you were more
freaked out.
Yeah, a little frazzled, a little freaked out, maybe.
A
Yeah.
little bit, yeah. I felt like,
So the way it was
not to get political again, but I felt like
Yeah.
Mueller.
Okay.
Or I felt like I had been grilled by Mueller.
Okay. Right.
Felt
right.
like Flynn.
Poor Flynn.
So you were
Yeah, I really feel
yeah,
sorry
poor
for him.
guy.
Yeah.
What a man.
That's
Yeah.
a tragedy.
Yeah,
It
is
is a
true.
American
Truly a
tragedy.
tragedy. That's such a great. Anyway, so we had a show a while ago where we talked about pay to play, which is essentially a when either breweries directly or more likely distributors on behest of a certain brewery is essentially giving retail establishments incentives to carry their product, which for some products, most products is perfectly fine. For booze, you can't do it. Not allowed to do it. It's called pay to play, very illegal. So we were talking about that, and you were kind of railing on it, and I named the episode, the definitive guide to pay to play is what I think I called it.
Yeah, it was a
And
way to do that.
yeah, and perhaps
Easy Google search for the feds.
yeah, exactly. So
Pat Burger.
yeah,
Pay to
Pat
play.
Burger, the definitive guide to pay to play. So the way it was told to me, the way I remembered anyway, was you were walking into your bar, Kaiser Tiger, and there were some agents, some guys talking to some of your employees, and more or less, as you walked in, one of the employees just kind of turned and said, "There he is," as you walked in.
I love it.
That is absolutely true.
Yeah. And then they came up to you and flashed some badges. And, these were...
And said, is there someplace we could talk? Yes.
Yeah, and these are federal agents. These were
Federal.
not like the city of Chicago people.
Well, they yes, it was two feds,
Yeah,
two
so
TTB,
take me through it, yeah.
and one Illinois guy who I know who does my inspections.
Right, he had to... Yeah, he was
Yeah.
there.
But before I talk about this, what are you going to name this episode?
Still more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Still more pay to play.
yeah. No, really.
How to get a curling ring from Anheuser-Busch.
Hey, Mr. TTB agent. Yeah.
So they wanted to talk to me. They did not say they had seen the podcast. In fact, they claimed they had not. But it seems suspicious
Likely
to me.
story.
Yes.
You know how many people have told me that? Pretty much everyone I've ever talked to has said that. So take that for what it's worth.
Right.
We don't listen to your podcast. Everyone tells you we don't listen to your podcast.
Everybody tells me they've never heard of this thing. I insist that they're wrong, but
Somebody's listening.
they
I'm
insist.
still not convinced this is actually a thing. So.
Yeah,
I know. Me neither. That's why I keep coming back.
The number one nothing.
yeah, exactly.
So they were very. It was weird. At the same time, they were saying, "Look, we're not here because we think you're doing pay to play. It's very obvious from your tap list that you are not involved in this."
Nobody would drink this stuff. Yeah. What is this? How many collaborations are
Tiger
there here?
tears.
I mean,
Yeah.
Like, did you make this?
Mr. Berger, you've got how many smoked lagers on right now?
yeah. Someone must be paying me to put those on.
Yeah.
But we just want to know what's going on. So, but then they were also like, "Hey, we're federal agents, so just so you know, if you leave anything out or lie to us in any way, that's a federal crime, and
And we will come after you.
Yes, yes,
I remember you said that to me on the phone. You're like, and they said, we'll come after you.
yes, they did
So they were
say that.
playing hardball.
They were, and then at the same time, saying, we just want to know what's going on, and I said, I just want some free coasters, man. I did say that, and they, so I called you because this agent emailed me the next day and said, with the federal statutes on glassware and coasters and all that stuff, and
because we had a debate about it.
because we had a debate about it, and this is why this is why we didn't know, because it is incredibly confusing, and federal law does not prohibit breweries and liquor people from giving you such things, but Illinois law does, apparently. Illinois has its own separate set of rules, and the state trumps the federal government in such matters.
Yes, Illinois has, in addition to the federal rules, Illinois has a separate set of categorizations and assumptions
Correct.
about
Right. Yeah.
different value standards, and those value standards are actually being rewritten right now as we speak.
Right.
There will be new ones issued, I think, within the next month or so, for everybody to look at.
So, so the feds kept telling me, we're not here for your coasters and your glassware. We want to know what they're offering for tap handles. And, sad to say, I had to let them know that no one's offered me anything for my tap handles. And I told them, they did 10 years ago when I opened Patty Long's, and when I told them no.
What did they offer you back then?
I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember. I mean,
Well done, sir.
the conversations didn't get that far. I plead the fifth. No,
don't remember, no.
they didn't get that far when they were saying, "Hey, we want to have this, and this on it." And I was like, "Well, I don't, I put on whatever I want." Then the conversation doesn't go any further, So I was zero help to them on that front, And when I opened Kaiser, no one offered me anything, and so I couldn't help them in that regard.
Is that because it's not really happening anymore, you think?
No, well, he's the last thing he said to me was, you think there's any examples of pay to play you can tell me? And I'm like, well, yeah, I can think of one. It's called Wrigley Field. Do you think nobody's ordering Bud Light at Wrigley or Miller Lite at Wrigley Field? Do you think the number one beer in Chicago just isn't what the people at Wrigley Field want to drink? That might be an example. Why don't you go over there, bother the Cubs, and quit bugging me?
And then they did.
How'd that go over?
Did they? Yeah.
Yes, they did. That was
There you go, Pat.
Good.
that was probably you. That'd be hilarious. If that
Cubs
was
fan.
No, I mean,
You are a
I can't
Cardinals
imagine.
fan,
I am
right?
a Cardinal fan. Yeah. So
There you
good.
are.
Yeah,
There you
one
go,
for the
everyone
team.
out there.
One for the team. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine Wrigley Field wasn't on their radar already. In fact, the whole thing with
Yeah,
Lagunitas.
I don't think you tipped him to that.
No, I don't
that
think I
one.
tipped him to that. Actually,
Huh. All right, I'll write this down.
Right.
I'll see if this checks out.
Wrigley Field. Do you have the address for that?
Exactly.
Addison and Clark, sir.
1060 West.
It's where the Blues Brothers live. Yeah, so that's my story. That's what happened. They are in town. They assured me on their way out that bars were going to be shut down, that liquor licenses were going to be revoked, and that beer distributors were going to get fined. So,
And those TTB fines are no joke. Those are big fines.
they are, right? Yeah, I don't know. The
Man.
guys in Boston got
6 figures. Yeah.
yeah, more than that. I think I thought it was $1 million,
No, it was only 6 figures.
6 figures. Yeah.
I think it was like mid 6 figures. Or
They
yeah.
Well,
paid
hold
it
on.
without
It was way in
skipping
there.
a beat, right? Trust me, distributors
Yeah.
got the money.
Yeah.
So, it's good. I mean, I've railed against the distributors on this podcast many times and my own, and they have all the power when it comes to what you drink. They do. Anyone who thinks that they don't, there's probably a lot of beer geeks listening to this right now who, have given every brewery they've ever bought a beer from a fine-tooth comb. Do they adhere to this? Are they about this? Do they, care about the things that I care about? But I bet none of them can even name a distributor. And the distributors
$2
hold
million to
all
settle
the
check.
power.
Oh, that's New Jersey.
They hold all the power on all this stuff. And they don't, they're not playing by the rules apparently. And, that's that, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if you get wildly,
2.6 million was the fine. Just
Oh, so I was right.
yeah, 7. That's
2.6 million. And they wrote a check and said, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be on our way.
See you later.
Yeah, we have that in the bank. No problem.
Yep.
It cuts into their tax bill savings, though.
right.
Yeah.
Can you write that off? A fine from the government?
Yeah. I don't think you. I don't think you
That's
can.
the well. Here's
Under the new tax
the
plan.
differentiation. I forgot
Yeah, right.
this. So the 2.6 to the state, 750,000 to the federal government.
Oh, so it's bigger for the state. Wow. I thought it was the other way around. There you
Yeah,
go.
there you go. So $3 million altogether.
Huh. First time piece of wrong information was ever uttered on this show. So
By me.
mark it down. Mark it down. I mean, have you heard any? Well,
Come on.
this whole TTB thing. Who are they going after, Ashley? Come on. Who are they going after?
I have no idea.
Oh, you son of a.
I know they've asked bars for invoices, I've not been able to find out what those bars are.
I know
But,
somebody was walked into Murphy's Bleachers, which is right across the street from Wrigley Field,
yes.
and there was a bunch of people there. They walked in. This person was with the distributor, saw what was going down, and did a 180 and walked right out. So I didn't really get anything more about that, but apparently there was quite a few. They were, probably
So if they're
giving them-
scrutinizing
They were
your-
giving the Pat Burger. They were giving him the Pat Burger.
Yeah, they've been around. They've been to a few people.
Oh yeah, I mean here in Chicago, John. I mean it's definitely a thing where people are talking about like they're kind of blanketing the area. The feds. I mean they are out, man. They are out.
You realize I'm talking to you from New Jersey, right, where most of the state is currently under indictment?
Right. I mean you realize that. I mean that's cool that you're just getting into that now, but we live in Illinois. I mean, how many governors of yours are in jail? Talk to us when that, when that's in the plurals.
Wait, we only have 2 right now. No, one of them got out, didn't he?
No, Ryan and
Ryan's
and,
still in?
and Blago.
Blagojevich,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're in there, right?
Yeah.
So,
Maybe.
Ryan got released.
Yeah.
did he
that's
get
what I
released?
thought. Yeah,
Oh, because of
we're down to 1.
No, but only because of health reasons, right? Only because whatever.
Well,
Doesn't
going through
matter.
right now.
So yeah, what's the deal? What's the landscape look like out there, John? Same,
Well,
probably the same.
we did have one of our fines. I think you guys just mentioned that before. One of the distributors out here got hit with a pretty significant fine for the same thing. And I think that, there are investigators who are looking into the same thing, not only here, but everywhere. I think as more breweries show up, as more as the larger players are looking to keep their foothold, I think there's a lot of foot soldiers on the street, folks who are out there who are doing everything they can to keep the lights on and keep people happy. And if you can find a gray area, great. And I think it's interesting times, and it'll be interesting to see how this ball continues to roll. I mean, certainly we've seen it in Massachusetts, we've seen it in Jersey. Now it seems like we're seeing it out there by you guys. And it's one of those things where you say, stay tuned.
Right.
Well, sure. I mean, there's the less insidious stuff that everybody does, which is, hey, guess what? I'm going to have this exclusive that I can give to 20 bars. I've got this regular junk that I sell to everybody. If you make sure that you are one of my best accounts for the regular junk, then when exclusive time comes around, I'll make sure you get whatever this, Bourbon County
Is that
thing
illegal?
is. Well, the question is, has there been an undue incentive? Was there some kind of impropriety offered? Usually it's not considered illegal at all.
Yeah. I mean,
And yet you feel like you've been influenced and proposed in the wrong way because you've been forced to purchase all this other stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, it's your choice again.
But when it is like a limited product, I think it makes sense to send it to the accounts that have supported you the most, right?
That's the beauty of a limited product, right? Is that the argument can be made both ways. If you have a beer that was a collaboration with somebody and you only sell it to that account and you only sell all there is to that account, then you've got the argument that you, yes, did it correctly. If you don't have... if you don't sell all of it to that account and you hold it back and don't offer it to anybody else and they ask for it, the question is, are you offering something special by having that collaboration only on tap at the one place?
Just so everyone knows, anyone can order Tiger Tears. Chris, it should be on tap at your bar. It's fantastic.
I think we have it on more than one line.
Good.
We have it on both the cool and warm box.
Just so you can get the Brett Tiger Tears come Christmas.
We've got it on cask.
The Black Friday release of Brett Tiger Tears.
We've got it we got it on nitro. Every way you can handle it, man.
Good.
So yeah,
Good. Good to hear.
Yeah, we're drinking.
Thanks
Yeah,
for the
these
and
are
hey,
issues that
people love it. Love it. I can't tell you how many times people ask me for
Sensing
Tiger
something,
Tears.
Brett. Sensing some
Tears?
sarcasm.
I mean the sour Tiger Tears.
Yeah, right. No, I've had
It's not
many-
hazy, so it's probably not on tap at your bar.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you guys release it only on Saturday mornings after people stand in line? Because that's the only kind of beer I drink these days.
No, let's let that's a nice little segue.
There it is.
I think that beer releases have essentially gone and in a lot of ways, I think rare beer events are now out of the bottle shop, they're off retail, and they are now in the area of tap rooms. That is where those rare releases happen now, at least in Chicago, with the exception of Bourbon County, which I'm still a little. I mean, I guess Binny's holds a lot of weight because I'm still surprised that hasn't fully gone over to Goose Island, or at least much more than it has. But other than Goose Island and Bourbon County, I mean, here in Chicago, it's all tap rooms. And I'm assuming from what you just said, John, it's the same with you and what you've seen. That's where these rare beers are released now. I mean, it makes sense, I think, on both ends. For the consumer, I mean, I think they probably feel more connected to the brewer or to the maker of whatever they are getting. For the supplier, the brewer, they obviously make the margin, and it's easy for them just to have people come to them and get a connection to what they're all about. So I think that's, for at least now, it might swing, the pendulum might swing back, but that's done for. I mean, I think, events, I'm sure that events now that you guys put on that are just strictly about the beer, not about the experience. I remember being at Patty's and there was a line down the block for Three Floyds.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Is it still like that, or do you get
No.
events like? Yeah,
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, we just had a beer event that I thought was going to kill, and it did great, but it didn't kill.
I was in your bar Sunday night, and you had 4 vintages
Exactly.
of Bourbon County Stout on tap.
Exactly.
And, I asked the bartender, like, whoa, you have 4 Bourbon Counties on? Was this an event? He's like, yeah, it was yesterday. And I was like, and none of them kicked, huh?
Yep, there's 5 of them.
There was 5 of them.
Wait, did you have the Northwoods, the blueberries thing?
No, that we did put that on, and it kicked
No.
very quickly. I mean, the prop.
regular Bourbon County.
Yeah, this is 2013.
It was a
14,
vintages,
15,
right? Yeah.
16, 17, a vertical of
that
Bourbon
would've been
County.
cool.
Yeah, how'd you get all those, by the way?
Saved them.
Saved them. You were open in 2014?
Yeah, we
Careful.
We were. I bought a keg. Right? I can say that.
Yeah,
right?
your
I'm not in
bartender
trouble.
gave me a different story.
Oh, 14. No, the 14 one, there was a gap
He likes to push me.
that
I'm
they,
just telling
that they found.
Oh,
Yeah, they just found it in the
Wait,
warehouse.
what
Tears, Tiger Tears on tap tomorrow.
I know.
What did
yeah.
the bartender? Now I want to know what the bartender said.
I just want to point out that this is why we don't do our podcast live.
Right? No, the
That's why you're number 3.
I,
Oh, John,
Yeah,
that was
Pat
mean. I
takes
take
no
it back.
prisoners.
I
Take it
know
all
for
back.
a fact that we were offered Sixtels, and we've just been holding on to them. That's how we got them. There was
Okay.
one exception where we said we had a gap in this vertical, and Goose came up and found one for us, which was cool. But which was the 14, right? I think it was, right?
was the
Stephen?
14.
Yeah.
I mean, your distributor came up and found one for
No, I think Goose. I think Goose did.
Goose via our distributor.
you. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And whatever Ashley said. I think Ashley's
Yeah,
right.
He's probably got the best face. but-
Yeah, I remember that. So anyway,
You're getting a visit tomorrow.
yeah, exactly. That's right. Anywho, so I mean, I think tap rooms are kind of where it's at. But now it seems like so. In John, in where you're at, is there a tap room explosion even in the past 12 months and
Yes.
and going forward in 6 months? It seems like there's here in Chicago a ton of them are going to be opening, and a ton of them have just opened in the past 3 months. How many have opened here
We
in
had
Chicago?
2 in the last
Hey, we
2
had
weeks.
simultaneous
We had
opening.
2 in 2 days.
2 in 2 days, yeah.
I mean, it was so Spiteful and Maplewood. We've had people from both those places on here. They both opened their tap room. We had Tracy at Metropolitan open up her place not too long ago. Off Color, the Mousetrap just opened. So many, and I'm sure there's many that I'm
This was a
forgetting
big
about.
topic last night. Last night we had a Don from Revolution had his party at Patty Long's.
Yeah.
And it's a big.
Sorry, I
you know,
missed it, Don.
Yeah, I'm sure Don's listening. He's not feeling good right now. I talked to him earlier. He, so all these, Mike Roper and all the glitterati, the beer glitterati were there last night. And,
Yep.
that was a big topic. Everybody was talking about tap rooms, and everybody, most people feel differently than I do about them.
How do most people feel?
Threatened, I would say, and wary of carrying beer from tap rooms that are close by and doing the same thing they are. Which
Now, why that? Why are they wary of carrying beer from people? Close
I
to
would
them?
say maybe in their mind they're saying, well, why am I going to support a brewery that is chomping into my business? So I wouldn't say where, I'd say vindictive. Maybe it would be the word. So there is, it's a highly competitive business that we're in, and people feel threatened.
That notion of taking a sale from me is something that the restaurant lobby has used, or actually people have used to try and get the restaurant lobby to work against the brewers and the manufacturers in a way that tries to stop these tap rooms from popping up.
Yeah,
which
I think
is
that's
really interesting. I don't know if it's a logical fallacy to think like, oh, they would really come to this place instead of this place.
Well, people only go to so many places,
Right. Well,
So if there's anyone in that tap room,
they would stay
those
home
are
and
people-
drink. They would do other stuff. I mean, a tap room is
Yeah.
just a bar that makes its own beer. Yes, it's a competitor,
Right.
hands down.
Right.
But it's a competitor in a new wave. These are entirely new waves and ways of thinking about things. You're doing it. You're making your own beer with other people. You get it. This
So I
is
think-
the idea.
I think the consumer understands a few things, that you're going to get the freshest possible beer from the tap room. You're also going to get beer that you can't find anywhere else.
Well, that's a fun
and
one.
it's handled properly. You don't have to worry. You would hope you don't have to worry about how the beer has been handled.
Hasn't
so it's
gone
gonna
through
be
the distribution
presented.
chain. It's going right from the source.
Yeah.
And
So
there's a lot of
in
weight
a
to
high,
that.
more educated consumers, I think that has some weight to it. I also like, there's definitely some sexiness and romance to craft beer these days, and being that much closer to the source.
I mean, for me, going to tap rooms, like especially back in the day, going to like Goose Clybourne, like I went to Goose because I could get a beer that wasn't on the shelf, that wasn't at the bar. They had like a cool beer that the brewer brewed. And I hope, and when I go to tap rooms, that that's what they have, but that's not always the case, which is kind of a letdown.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I think we all love tap rooms. I mean, that's not the argument, right? It's
Well, the question is now we see so many of them. What's going on?
yes, and are they
unique?
Are they taking business away from bars that are their customers? And this, by the way, preface
Well,
this
that's not even
by
the
saying
whole
that I
question.
don't, I'm not one of these bar owners who is anti-tap room.
Yeah. What do
and
you think about it, Pat?
I think it's my responsibility to get people in my place.
Messed up. That's what you said.
That's right.
Right.
No, he said he was good at getting people messed
Oh,
up.
yeah.
his responsibility is
It's
general
my
business.
responsibility to get people into my bar, however I do it. In my business, whatever my business is. And for me to be vindictive about someone else's business simply because it makes my job harder and means that I have to be better than them, well, that seems at odds with how I like, how I look at the business, how I operate. I want to be the best. I want to be, I want to give these people an experience that they can't get anywhere. And a tap room, if it's better than me, then as the Irish say, fair balls. Mm-hmm. Then that's on me, not on them. This is America, right? I'm going to be vindictive about someone else's business.
So, as the Irish say,
I mean,
This is America. As the Irish say, this is America.
this is America.
The Irish, I know, say that.
Absolutely.
another side effect of these tap rooms that we're seeing is they're not being able to create enough beer to feed the distribution pipeline.
Oh, yeah.
So the beer's hitting their tap room first, and we're not able to put it on our shelves at all.
Yeah, that goes along with this theory. The local know what you're buying, come to understand it, have it local. These bars may just decide I sell enough right now. I've got a few extra kegs for some bars in town, but I'm making it for this space. This is where I'm generating my money, and I don't need to become a giant producer unless something takes off.
Yep.
In which case, I'll find a contract facility for a little bit to make it there and see if it sells other places. But
Yeah. Another thing is undercutting, So, is a tap room undercutting you? Like, why would I buy their beer if I have to charge $8 for it and they're charging $5?
now that's something that a lot of guys haven't gotten sophisticated to, and I think they need to pay attention to, which is
Guys
the
meaning
notion
what?
of a lot of brewers haven't really taken their sales and their customers, who are the bars, into account to understand that if they are going to be price competitors, it's the reason many other industries and many other places have minimum advertised pricing, and
It's the reason the gas station across the street from the other gas station sells their gas for the exact same price, because if they sold it for a penny less, the other gas station would be packed, So I think, I think they need to be aware of it. I don't know of any, but this was a topic last night, and the person I was talking to about it said, let's go take a drive. Let's go visit some of these tap rooms and see what they're charging, because, you and I have to charge this much money for it to make money, to make our margins. If they're charging less, why would we buy their beer and automatically be behind the 8 ball with the consumer?
Yeah, and the other thing, I think that there are things that I think right now tap rooms are very cool. It's what the kids who are not quite as young as your kids, because your kids don't drink alcohol, but the ones who are a little older go to tap rooms and they think they're cool because it's a cool experience, because millennials are into experiences where they can drink beer.
It is cool. Tap rooms are cool.
No, they are cool. They're super cool.
Get a ton of hate mail soon.
Yeah, no, bring it.
Bring it, millennials.
No, I love tap rooms as well. I mean, I really do. And I'm really happy for all these people to be opening their tap rooms. I genuinely am. And I don't think I'm necessarily vindictive. Now, here is one thing I will say. If there is, there are these limited beers that people really kind of go out of their way to go to my shop to try, and we're not getting them anymore. Now, do I want to switch some of my sales effort towards another product that will give me some of their exclusive stuff? I think that's, that only makes sense. I'm not going to keep now pushing Brewery X so I get their, Super X beer. But if I'm not going to keep pushing it, if they're not going to give me that special beer anymore, I'm going to push something else to get their special beer.
Yeah. We need a brewery owner on this episode.
Yeah. I mean,
honestly.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked to brew owners about this a lot. It makes sense for them. I mean, the profit margin is wonderful for them, and it's a great way to. I mean, for the little guys,
anyone who's ever come to me asking advice, I want to open a brewery. What should I do? Get a tap room. Might be coming back to haunt me, but no, I'm still. I have some wonderful tap rooms by Kaiser Tiger, and we do really well off of them. I get a lot of people who are doing a beer pub crawl, and we end up on their, they hit Goose and On Tour and what's the other, Great Central, and then they hit us, and I don't have any problem with it. I love those places, and I carry those places' beers.
Yeah. Turn it off.
So
hey. Somebody's crashed.
Ed's here.
Who's this?
Hey, I was just listening to you guys.
Finally, a brewery owner.
You just felt like you could walk into the studio.
Well, we did get our brewery owner here, and Ed is about to open a tap room.
That's right, guys. And you guys were talking about pricing for a second. I mean, I was listening to you guys, and I was listening to WMAQ radio.
Yeah.
Sports radio in between listening to you guys.
Yeah.
So
the consensus is
they were
Ed,
talking about price.
Your beer prices are too low. We need to raise the prices of your beer.
Now, that's great to hear. I think I've never heard that ever from anyone, so I appreciate that. But
what are you charging for a pint of Chug Life in your new brewery?
So we're probably going to charge, I'm not sure yet, but we want to address the pricing of our beers to match what the pricing is in tap rooms around town. We realize that we don't want to damage anyone or whatever, hurt any bar owner or any retailer's efforts to purchase the beer, whether it's at their place or our own. What we might do is have tap room only beers, but we're trying to reduce our pricing in general for the Chug Life.
That is true.
So
Yeah.
everybody will be able to get a cheap Chug Life soon. But I mean, we're just in the middle of so many different expenses right now. It's hard for us to even know what anything should cost because it's blowing our minds.
Pull up a seat for real quick, Ed,
You know
if you
what I
don't
mean?
mind. So, are you worried? Is anyone here worried? John, you included. We're not just talking about Chicago here. About worried might be a strong word, but like tap rooms are becoming oversaturated. I think, or does anyone else think that they might become oversaturated? What does that mean? Or is it just like opening up another bar? I mean, are there too many bars in Chicago? I don't think anyone would say that, but people are talking.
I would
about,
say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up,
I
John?
think
ahead,
that the brewers who are opening tap rooms have to really think about the long game, and so I don't worry about because I don't have a skin in any of this game, but I do wonder about some of these breweries where they have Saturday morning releases, where it's hazy IPAs, where it's people lining up, and there's a lot of Instagram posts. There's all this stuff that's going on about that. I wonder if they're thinking, okay, what's going to happen when we're no longer the brewery of the moment? I wonder if they're thinking about what happens when the style of beer that they're pushing out there is suddenly now passé. Black IPA, anybody? So I think that if right now you can ride this wave, and early on when you open up a tap room, if you do a juicy, hazy IPA, and I don't hate those beers, but I wonder about their longevity, and I wonder about the fickleness of the people who are supporting these in such droves, that I wonder if the brewery owners are actually thinking, well, is this going to be sustainable 2 years from now? And what should I be looking for so that I can adapt and continue to have a business 2, 5, 10 years from now if that's part of their business plan? And I think that most people who open up these days are just kind of riding it and not seeing that eventually they're going to crest into the shore.
I didn't catch most of what you said, but like we actually
That's not going to stop you from commenting. Go ahead.
But I wanted to say something about that last comment.
I was coming through there, right?
Yeah, Ed doesn't have a pair of headphones.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, what I'm trying to say is that we're looking forward to making beers that probably people don't want to buy from us on the shelf because it would be too expensive. We're looking forward to making some weird table beers, grisettes, just some random styles that people maybe have never heard of or aren't going to buy on the shelf, and they're just really simple beers. So we're not necessarily chasing the haze craze. We're looking forward to making some beautiful kind of subtle beers that maybe no one gives a hoot about.
And I am interested to see how stuff go. Like, if so much is getting drawn into the tap rooms, especially for some of these little guys, is that going to affect their overall brand recognition? If they become a neighborhood, essentially a neighborhood bar, right, and they're sucking up all their product, then, if they're not the cool thing anymore, like you were saying, John, now what does that give them? I mean, do you kind of have to dip your toe in the pond? Like, do you have to keep your other customers, as you were saying, Ashley, happy? Do you have to make sure that you're keeping everybody happy, even if it means, taking some of the special stuff and putting it out there to the retail accounts? This is just me asking, speculating. I mean, could it have a negative effect in the long game, as you were saying, John, if you're not aware of kind of the outside world without just people coming into you too much, kind of remembering that you are also a brewery that just sends your stuff out?
Well, and I think that that's an important thing, is actually getting your beer out there as well. If you exist in this vacuum where okay, we're going to make a pallet of beer and it's going to be available every weekend and we're going to sell out in our tap room, and isn't that great? We don't have to think about the outside. You're living in that vacuum where the people who are at the bar down the street don't necessarily know that you exist. They're not following that Instagram feed, they're not following that Twitter feed, whatever. And so branching out there and getting some stuff to a larger market, I think, can help grow a business, especially if you have a product to offer. You can't always rely on people always coming to you. And when you look at the successful breweries that are out there, they're the ones who have branched out. I think it's nice to have taproom-only exclusives, and you can go to breweries like Sam Adams in Sierra Nevada and New Belgium, right? The biggest players that are out there, some of them anyway, and they have taproom-only exclusives, which are really exciting. But it's pale ale that brings them in, or it's lager that brings them in, as it were. So the smaller breweries, we have 6,200 in the country right now, and most of them have tap rooms, and most of them are small. If you want to have a viable business, look to your elders, look to the folks who have done it. You don't have to change your life too much, but if you're only living within this bubble that is surrounding your tap room, it will burst at some point, and you're going to be left holding the bag because a brewery down the street who branched out just a little bit is now going to have that toehold in at the local bar. They've been good to you, Chris. They've been good to you, Pat. They've been good to, getting out there a little bit more, branching out a little bit more, and it's good for the long term.
It's interesting.
I say with my advanced business degree, of course.
Right.
No, I agree with you.
It's interesting. Like Metropolitan opened a block and a half from us. Mm-hmm. And we don't have their beers on draft just because it doesn't we don't think that it makes sense. We carry their 6-packs in the shop, but for us it's like, why would somebody, they would just walk a block if they wanted to get these Metro beers. They've got a beautiful space, but now on the other hand, even locally, and this is something I have thought about. I mean, I know that people in my neighborhood aren't necessarily going to drive down to Bridgeport to Mars's new tap room all the time. They might check it out when it first opens. Then they're going to see, it's just as expensive here. I can spend this much money up in my neighborhood.
Yeah,
and
but they won't be able to get the great tour of Massage Row when they come down to Bridgeport.
Tiger Tears.
Exactly.
Tiger Tears cost the same everywhere.
Massage Row.
And Bridgeport is known as being the Amsterdam red light district of Chicago. FYI, listeners.
Okay, there you are.
I want to say, though, some breweries don't have a lot of opportunities to sell their beer off premise if they're small. Like, a lot of people are starting off with these psycho brew systems, 5-barrel, 7-barrel, 10-barrel systems. So sometimes, they can't make more than a pallet of beer anyways. And, you have to be excited for them that they're able to sell that all on premise because it'll allow them to keep paying their bills and keep surviving.
For sure.
Right? But, there are a lot of breweries that are a good model of having, the taproom exclusives, selling beer on premise, and also sharing that beer to the rest of the universe whenever they can. And let's face it, I mean, with this all these, new breweries in town everywhere, there's a lot more competition. It's harder to sell a lot more liquid. It's harder to grow your base, to grow your volume, relying solely on retail. So I don't think most breweries out there are trying to just deliberately sell their stuff on premise and undercut every other person's pricing. I think it's just sometimes a survival mechanism for some. Now, other breweries, like Other Brewing, pride themselves on selling every single drop out their garage door. And they're part of the haze craze that's overtaken the East Coast and it's spread to the West Coast, right? And there's nothing wrong with that either.
No, I mean, and when the bubble bursts for places like that, they'll have a nice, giant pile of money to kind of catch them as they fall.
Well, sure, there's sweet tax cuts, yeah.
Right. It's so yeah. I mean, I think no matter what happens, I think other half will be okay, at least in some ways.
Maybe,
but
maybe.
It is funny though. I mean, it is interesting to think that would bars. Bars are going to be places for an experience, I think, or for the vibe, or for what's going on. But also, I think for a place like, which would be, a classic beer bar, and I think you would also say, I mean, Pat, you've got a very discerning palate and have pretty strong opinions about beer. It would also then go for the curation, and it's funny to think, the one thing that the tap rooms can't get you is not local beer. For example, some Belgian stuff, some German stuff, some stuff from other half if they ever, have to distro because not every drop is going out their front door or whoever it is. So it is interesting. Do you think you could see like a pushback from bars against the hardcore local movement? Like, hey, don't forget, there's some great American-made stuff.
I'm telling you, it's happening. I mean, it was a huge topic last night, and it is, on the forefront of a lot of beer bar owners' minds. Beer bar owners. The regular bar owner doesn't care. But when a beer bar owner walks into a tap room and sees all of his customers, which, and I'm not saying I'm one of these people. I'm not, actually. I have the opposite opinion. But
your customers don't go to breweries.
I just don't recognize any of my customers.
Just there for the bacon podcast.
Too many.
I don't know who any of them are.
Too much
But,
fur.
no, I've heard this from a lot of bar owners. This is a concern, and things are very competitive in Chicago right now, and I think there are too many bars and too many beer bars and too many of everything, too many breweries. Every brewery owner will tell you how competitive things are. It's the same in the restaurant bar industry right now, in Chicago anyway. I can't speak for anywhere else. And, people are getting snipey, or snippy, I think is probably the word.
Yeah, they're going to snipe you.
I know, yeah, that makes sense. But, it's a big topic. It's I think breweries should consider it, and they are, I got a visit from Ballast Point because they're opening a tap room. They're opening a brew pub
right down the street.
Right down the street from Kaiser Tiger.
Yeah, big
They
one.
were very concerned that I wasn't going to carry their beer anymore. I am. I'm still carrying their beer. I have no problem with it. But a lot of
Don't
places.
have any problem with them dates, huh?
What's that?
Anyway, no, moving on.
It's only a matter of days.
Yeah.
I like their beer. I'll carry it. But there's people on Randolph Street who aren't carrying their beer anymore.
Here's another keg of
Which I can see it both ways. I can understand.
Yeah, I see it both ways too. I do. So I think it's something that breweries need to just keep in mind, and it's a thing,
It's a thing.
And don't charge $1 less, than the bar down the street.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you're going to make an enemy if you're down the street. And
I mean, that's a surefire way to get someone not to carry your beer. Yes.
yeah. What's up, Ed?
Well, is that a
what's
thing
up,
if you're a
Ed?
conglomerate that you can just now go and open a bar in every city, one sort of brew
Well, you
pub
can,
bar,
right? I mean, Anheuser-Busch
brand it and do
essentially
it.
opened a bar in Chicago a few months back,
right
right?
next to Wrigley Field. Is that the one?
No, I'm thinking of Goose Island Clybourne.
Oh, yes,
That's owned by Anheuser-Busch now.
absolutely.
And it is a full-service restaurant. And
Are they brewing there?
they're brewing there.
Mm-hmm.
They have a tap
Brand
room
new
license, so
system.
they can't sell liquor, and they can
Yeah,
only
I-
sell their own beer.
Oh,
but they
so-
can sell
so
beer from Fulton now.
They opened the tap room that is associated with their.
Oh, they
state
could
license.
distribute from Fulton to that tap room.
yeah, they changed
Yeah.
the law on that.
It's nice to have your laws change in your favor. Well,
I think Rev
well,
might have had a lot
I think
to do with
Rev
that one.
and Half Acre had a lot
and
to do
Half
with
Acre,
it.
yeah.
What's
Remember
this?
when they took turns
Bless 'em.
being the head of the guild?
Yeah.
Remember for a while, and then they happened to
Yeah,
step
I don't
down
think
when
it-
certain laws were changed.
There should be a reward for having that brutal job. But you
I
know,
mean, I'm not throwing shade here. I mean, that's
No,
literally
and,
what
and we
happened.
we all thought that was ridiculous. We're
Yeah.
like, oh, Half Acre can't even sell the beer they make it
Yeah,
at their new production brewery
I know,
at
it was
their
silly.
at their tap room. This is dumb,
Right.
You know?
Well, I think Anheuser-Busch is a little different. The Borg is a little different than Half Acre or Rev. But, I wanted to mention that I think a lot of strategies for breweries in general will be the creation of more tap rooms, more small breweries, more small on-premise locations in different neighborhoods, in different cities, in different marketplaces to have a kind of foothold in the local market business or
yeah.
game.
I mean,
And that's-
local is the hottest style there is right now.
Well,
so
I don't know about that, but it makes sense to have like.
I mean, it is. I mean, that's what like.
No,
anyways,
the three words that are most popular in beer these days are new, rare, and local, hands down. And that's what consumers
sounds like
ask for. It
Mars
used to
Community
be-
Brewing.
New, rare, and local, baby. Yeah.
People come into my bar all the time. They're like,
Just
"What's
walks
imported
out,
and
yeah.
available at 7-Eleven?"
Right. Exactly.
I got the beer for you right here.
Yeah.
I got it for you.
Yeah, no, I don't hear that.
No, I mean, people want local IPAs. That's really what they want. They want that hazy IPA. Do you get a lot of that at Kaiser? People asking for that hazy stuff? You have to.
I don't know. Maybe.
I know you're not a fan.
They're not
Just
disappointed.
the TTB. By the way, do you have any hazy IPA?
Yeah.
I won't say I've never served one, but no one's coming to Kaiser Tiger for them because they're not there very often.
Really?
Yeah.
Bucking the trends, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like them. I've made that clear, and it's not, like you said, it's my palate and my, that people are coming in for, and it's not a beer that appeals to my palate. Something that my children think might taste good is not what my beer should taste like. My kids drink juice, not me. Mm-hmm. I want my beer to be an adult beverage, not a child's drink.
A child, yes. Like a child who walks into a brew pub, Donnie.
That's right. I want my kid to take a sip of my beer and go, "Oh, that's gross," not to go, "Oh, that's pretty good."
Right.
Tastes like mileage.
Right? Wait, this tastes good. There must be something wrong with it. Let me see this.
Tastes like
what?
my juice box.
I think you might have some interesting kids. They don't like drinking. You don't want them to like. Well, never mind. Anyway.
Leave my kids out of this.
Yeah,
Chris.
I think that's what I.
That was one of the
I think that's the
trends.
best idea.
Shifting topics to trends for 2018.
I don't think we have any time, man. We have
well,
like
the entire
10
notion
minutes.
was that
We
people would
blew
finally
it.
start
Once
to
you-
be able to tell the difference between
Once you brought hazy beer into this,
good
it was
hazy
all
beer
over.
and bad hazy beer.
Is that your prediction for 2018?
I think enough
Ashley?
people will start to recognize the difference between juicy good and juicy bad.
Oh no.
I think you're probably right. I think in 2018 there will be something where, oh man, I don't know. I don't know if it'll happen in 18 or if it'll take till 19.
It's going to take a while.
Where it's just like, well, does it get the benefit of the doubt? Because IPA still kind of gets a little bit of benefit of the doubt. Barrel-aged stout definitely gets benefit of the doubt, I think. And so does New England. I mean, if someone's like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And there's some, there's a lot of middling. Then again, I'm with you, Pat. It's just not my favorite style.
Yeah. Well,
not my favorite. There's some that I do like, but
I ordered one at your bar Sunday night.
Which one? Never mind.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
It wasn't him.
The bad one.
Are you a fan of the style, John? Are you allowed to say?
I appreciate the good ones. I find a lot of fault in some of them. I think there's the difference between the brewers, and these are the pretty well-established ones who make tasty ones and who put a lot of thought into it, versus the brewers who do it for the aesthetic, where, hey, doesn't this look like a hazy IPA? Yes, and people will go nuts for it, and that's the big difference. I think it's the ones who are actually putting the thought into the recipe will inherit the earth, at least in the short term. The ones who are doing it for the aesthetics only, the flour dosing, the ugly milkshake kind of thing, they're doing it because they're chasing the trend. It's the same thing that we saw before the bubble burst in the early 2000s of people getting into it for the wrong reasons. And so I don't know if it'll happen in 18. I think 19 and beyond, probably it will just hit a saturation point. And I hope at some point people start remembering that there's some really great IPAs that existed out there before all of this, like Harpoon IPA or Torpedo or some of these others, and go and appreciate some of the nuance and some of the older hops that are out there as well as chasing after some of the new ones.
I will say that it's the guy's station, and he doesn't realize that he was just on the air, and he's out there having a loud conversation. Special guy, Ed. I will say I do think that the hazy thing is going to be around for a while, but I think the stuff that looks kind of like gross, dull nastiness,
Turbid.
That's going to go away soon. I think people are going to start realizing, maybe not good and bad New England IPA, but they're going to start noticing when it's too much. I think
I
I
think-
I
I
could
think
see that
it's no
happening by the
longer
end
a
of
trend.
2018.
It's no longer
There
a trend.
are
It's going to
breweries
continue to
that are
bring
making.
people in.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say there are breweries that are making New England IPAs in New England who have installed centrifuges, who have installed filters, who have installed mechanical equipment that increases the flavor of the beer, still makes it hazy, but not necessarily where if you run your finger around the inside of the glass, you're going to come out with, some living organisms, clumped to it. And those are the beers that are tasting really great. And they may not look the way that some of us old guys want our beer to look.
Yeah, Trillium centrifuges, don't they?
Yeah, Trillium, absolutely.
Yeah,
Centrifuges.
yeah, yeah.
And JC Tetro doesn't hide that fact at all. And I think that if you look to some of the gold standards of the styles, some of his beers are right up there with it. Versus people who have just opened up last week, and I'm not disparaging any of these folks, but they see
Or maybe
a
if they
hazy
just
beer
did a
and they're
collab.
like,
Last
"This is
week,
what we're
though."
going
Yeah.
to try to do
Yeah.
it, and they're not putting the same thought into it. And I think they're going to be in for a rude awakening at some point.
Pat's got all his chips are on
Tiger Tears.
hazy smoked lagers.
I know. Well, Tiger Tears on blueberries. Tiger Tears.
Yeah. Blueberry Tiger.
Tiger
Ooh,
Tears Heaven
no,
Hill
it's
6-year. Tiger
Maple-
Tears
Maple
Elijah
Tiger
Craig
Tears.
12-year.
Well, we're going to do a 4-year vertical of Tiger Tears. So
Sweet.
it's going to pack them in.
No, here's
You've only been open.
it's
Wait a minute.
It's
Can you
5
edit it in
years.
cans so we can shotgun them all at the same time?
I've got a
So wait.
12-year vertical of Tiger
yes,
Tears.
yes.
Here's a question: what's going to be the hot adjunct? The next hot adjunct, whether it's 2018, I think maple is definitely the adjunct of 2017. Maple you put maple in anything, and there was a certain contingent of beer drinkers who were kind of all over it. Do you think there's going to be another thing like that in 2018 or 19 or?
And there ought to be more botanicals. Those guys who do that buffalo grass or the fun stuff, that should be.
But there's no way. That's too. It's too easy just
I think
to
it
say
contains Thujaune,
maple
too,
and then
so-
be like, this tastes like a pancake. Oh, this is cool. I think botanicals takes too much, mental effort to kind of think about, where you can just like chuck a whole bunch of vanilla in there, and But what's the next one going to be? Ed?
Sour Patch.
Sour Patch.
Yeah, sour candies. Yep. We'll be releasing it in 2018. Our tart and tangy New England style sour IPA.
Tart and tangy.
My kids are going to be all over it.
Sour Patch, you bet.
Yep. Sweet tart. Sweet and tart. That's what because there is going to be another. There's going to be another adjunct. Nobody guessed maple, but because it was vanilla before that. It was that vanilla though.
Remember that? Remember when it was ginger? That was a terrible year.
Oh, so bad.
Jeez.
But I'm just curious. You know what? If anyone's out there, write us a letter. What you think the next?
Everybody gave up a long time ago.
No, you'd be surprised. Prove
Yuzu
John
had a run in
wrong.
2016.
Yeah.
Yoo-hoo?
Yuzu had a run
Oh,
in 2016.
Yes.
Yuzu
Yeah.
definitely
I
has
still don't
that.
even know what it is, but it was in a lot of beers.
What's going to be the next adjunct? And I mean, like, for the pastry stouts specifically. What's the next thing that people
Custard.
are going to add?
Custard.
Custard.
I'm
Punchki
fairly
stouts.
confident it's the broken dreams of the middle class.
Oh,
Tax cut.
there you go. The broken dreams of the middle class, he said, Ed. We have to repeat it because Ed whatever.
Ed doesn't
That's
have
I'm not
the
even going to get
reference
into
yet.
it.
No, I get it.
But yeah,
$3.50 a
so
barrel.
it's insiders at craftbeertemple.com. Tell us what you think
I
the
thought you
next
wanted a written
adjunct's
letter, not
gonna
an
be.
email.
No, we'll do that too.
Ah.
It's 3219 South Morgan Street, Chicago, Illinois 60608. Send it to attention Logan, and I'll make sure I get it.
Can I also just say gin?
Yeah, you can say gin. So let's go around the horn. I wanted to thank my guests, Pat, Stephen, Ashley, and John, and Ed, sometimes when he wasn't outside having loud phone conversations.
Pat summoned me.
So,
spell.
I did. I used my telekinesis.
final words. Anyone, Pat, you want to start? Anything you want to say in closing?
No. Happy holidays to everyone, and no.
No. Okay.
Nothing. I'm all
right.
good.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Stephen?
And happy holidays, and here's to drinking beer in 2018.
Cool. Ashley, you looking up something, or are you ready?
Ready to do what?
Never mind. John, any final words?
I was so excited to learn so many new things about Brian Roth. So thank you for having me on. And Merry Christmas to everybody. And honestly, if I get invited back next time, I'm coming into the studio because it's lonely here in my kitchen.
Oh, you're more than welcome. And
Thanks, fellas.
Yeah, likewise. Next time I'm out in New Jersey, I'm just going to crash your show.
Oh, get out and vote
style.
this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to come slumming on to steal this beer, just by all means.
I get out
we'll
to
be happy
Jersey.
to
My
have you.
mom lives there, so don't
all right.
don't say that unless you mean it, because I will.
Of
I'll
course
just
we
He
mean
show
slums.
up.
He slums a lot.
Yeah. Ashley, are you ready now for a final word? Now I'll restate what it is.
I said-
You have 2 minutes.
Get out and vote.
Get out and vote. Okay.
2018.
I want to thank everyone for joining us. I want to thank my guests. I hope everyone has a happy holiday. We have one more episode before the end of the year, so our year in review episode will be next week. This crew wasn't quite good enough for that special show.
Wow.
But I still wanted to thank them. They're good
Hey,
enough.
Guys, you're all welcome over on Steal This Beer.
I know.
All right.
Yeah.
I think you're good enough for our year in review. So
Yeah, no, it's good. You guys were good. You're fine. You're good.
Man.
Very good.
Or no.
Very, very
Who's
good.
on next week?
I don't know.
Come on. You do too.
Anyway, thank you guys so much. We'll be back next week with more of the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. So long.
Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard, it seems